All right, so let's take another in-depth look at some of these Trumponomics that we're dealing with in our economy right now. As we understand, as spiritual people, we must be aware of all things happening in our environment, and we must be in a place of understanding when we're looking at world events and how they directly affect us and the world around us. Okay, so we have to understand that these policies that the administration is putting forth right now are not the policies that can give us the type of outcomes that are being promised. Okay, let's look at one major issue right now, and it's the China trade war that is really costing us. So let's just start by looking at China's recent actions and the effect that those will have on our economy. So first and foremost, China has stopped imports. Okay, so China has halted imports of U.S. soybeans and reportedly other agricultural products like pork and corn. This has devastated our farming community, who had completely opposite expectations of this administration, as was promised to them. Number two, China has imposed controls and put export controls on certain rare earth elements and other minerals essential for U.S. high-tech and defense industries. And we are constantly in war and conflict. This is not good. The critical minerals subject to these controls include neodymium, dysprosium, terbium, and these are used in magnets for defense and technology, as well as tungsten, tellurium, bismuth, molybdenum, and indium. So we know a lot of people don't know what in the world that means in layman's terms. So let's go and break this down, and let's look at the effects of these specific actions, and let's look at the nuances and different components of that reality for the United States. Number one, let's look at the effect of China's export controls on rare earth elements. So the effect is severe, and it's also strategic for the United States high-tech and defense industries, which rely heavily on these materials, like neodymium and dysprosium for advanced systems like fighter jets, missiles, radar, and electric vehicle motors. So you see, this is going to reach far into the War Department. It's also going to reach into the economy. Since China dominates up to 95% of global rare earth processing, the controls threaten to disrupt supply chains. We're already dealing with that, and it's already stagnating the economy right now. That's the significance of this. So slow down production of critical military hardware, and this forces Western nations to invest billions in developing alternative sources and domestic processing over many years. China's new licensing rules that block supply to any defense-linked entity are a direct attempt to weaponize its market dominance to gain strategic leverage. Okay? And for those of us who are involved in business and who have business aspirations, this really creates a very small world for us. And for those who are trying to reach out, our young people who are trying to reach out and do things and innovate, this is creating a very isolated environment to do business in, and it's putting us at a financial and an economic disadvantage. And once again, this definitely affects everybody. These are just some of the far-reaching consequences of bad policy. So I know everybody's been listening to the news, and you've heard the farmers complaining about what's been going on with the soybean contract and how it was lost. Let's look at the impact of China halting the U.S. soybean and other agricultural imports. Let's look at what the effects are on that and try to gain some type of understanding on what's really happening, what people are talking about, and why. So first things first, we need to understand that the impact is financially devastating for the United States farmers, particularly soybean growers. China was the largest customer, historically buying over half of all U.S. soybean exports, worth billions of dollars, guys. The halt in purchases leaves farmers with massive oversupply, causing commodity prices to fall and resulting in major income losses, rising farm debt, and a surge in farm bankruptcies. Okay, so this is the reality behind all of the madness. The United States right now is struggling to find alternative markets large enough to absorb the surplus, and analysts are warning that this loss of the market share to competitors like Brazil and Argentina could be permanent. See, we're talking about permanent damage now. And this could fundamentally shift global agricultural trade flows. That is significant, paramount significance. These issues become so big, they're national security issues. So the first thing a logical thinker would say, well, we can just replace China. Let's replace them with another alternative outsource. But replacing China for these products involves very different timelines and difficulties for each one. Okay, so let's look at the rare earth elements and critical minerals. Okay, that's not going to be easily done or quickly. China controls up to 90% of the world's processing and refining capacity. That's major, which is a crucial step. While the United States has domestic mines like MP Materials and is partnering with allies like Australia, Brazil, and India to build new supply chains, creating this complex processing infrastructure would still take an estimated 5 to 10 years that we don't have, and billions of dollars of investment that we don't have and we won't have, and we keep on going down this road of tariffs and safety net destruction and GDP destruction and demand destruction. Soybeans and agricultural products, we can probably do something with that one. We can replace, but with major short-term pain. The United States is actively pursuing new international markets, and other countries like Brazil and Argentina have already stepped in to supply China. However, no single buyer can immediately replace China. So U.S. farmers face significant income losses and may have permanently lost a large share of that market. Domestically, there is a growing demand for soybeans for renewable diesel production, and that may offer a partial long-term market replacement. But we're looking at time that we don't have and money that's not being generated in this flat economy right now. And we're quickly moving into the negative. So I have a fact-based argument that aligns with strong consensus among macroeconomists that tariffs are a tax on domestic consumers, raises costs, slows down economic growth, which contradicts the long-term benefit claims of political supporters of MAGA. Okay? All of these foreign policies, all of these domestic policies, they are sinking America into an abyss. And the consensus amongst most economists supports what I'm saying. Trump's tariffs are just a tax on domestic consumers, and long-term optimism of the base that's supporting him is politically driven by a focus on America first, whatever that means. Obviously, it means racism first. Not sound macroeconomic principles, setting up a clash between what they politically believe and their eventual economic reality that is unfolding right before our eyes. I am apolitical. I don't stand for Republican or Democrat or MAGA or anything else. I stand for the Most High. We are simply looking at this end times world that we're living in and watching prophecy unfold right before our eyes, verse by verse.